All right, so welcome back to another one of my video demonstrations, and also Happy New Year's to everyone. You know, it's my first recording for the New Year's for 2024, so I just want to wish everyone a Happy New Year. All right, so a little over a month ago, I was going through Vue.js with my students, with some students that I teach, and we were talking about JavaScript frameworks and JavaScript libraries when it comes on to web development, and I decided to use Vue.js as an example. And from that, I thought to myself, it would be good if I just do a walkthrough video for persons who are interested in Vue.js or using Vue.js and you have never attempted it before. So that's what we'll be doing for this video. I'll be doing a quick walkthrough. Well, I'll try to make it as quick as possible or make the video as short as possible and give you an opportunity to, you know, walk through this with me, and you can also definitely you should try this on your own. Right, so with that being said, I'm going to get started by first going to the Vue website, talking to you a bit about Vue from their perspective based on what is on the website, and also speak to you about the different tools that I'll be using to set up this particular project. All right, so here we are on the Vue.js website, and as stated here, it is a progressive JavaScript framework. So Vue.js is a JavaScript framework that allows us to build web user interface. So it's good for those persons who are into front end development. All right, so if you're into front end development, then Vue.js is a framework that you should become familiar with. Currently, it is very popular. There are a lot of jobs out there as well when it comes on to employing developers who are familiar with Vue.js. And this is worldwide now, and not tied to any geographical location, but definitely worldwide. For me, most of the websites that I develop, I tend to use just my general JavaScript or vanilla JavaScript. I use PHP a lot for my websites, and I use HTML, CSS. Yes, PHP is still a thing, and I use frameworks like Bootstrap for my CSS and Bulma as well for my CSS. And I would have used Materialize CSS as well in the past, right? But here we're focusing on Vue.js. So that's the video here, why I use Vue and all of that. But let's go to the get started. All right, now here you're being told what Vue is. So it is a JavaScript framework used for building user interfaces. There are also examples here in terms of how you can include Vue in your web application. What we'll be doing though, right? So there is multiple ways of including Vue or utilizing Vue. You can install the relevant packages, or you can use a CDN link. For us, we will be installing the dependencies that we need. So I'll be using Node.js for that. All right, so when you talk about creating single page applications, all right, Vue can be used for that. If you're building progressive web application, for persons who are familiar with what progressive web apps are, you can also use Vue.js for that as well. All right, so if I should click on the quick start over here, it will outline for us different ways that we can go about utilizing Vue or using Vue. So in terms of creating a Vue application, I'll be using Node. Therefore, I'll be using my npm. You can use yarn as well if that's your preference. So I run the necessary commands to just scaffold or spin up a project for us, and then I will build on that, right? You can also, if you prefer, to use the CDN to build out your Vue application. But as I said, I will be using Node.js. Alright, now because I'll be using Node.js, I need to ensure that I have Node.js installed, which I do. But if you don't, then you just go to nodejs.org and download Node.js and install that to your development machine. Alright. Alright, so I have PowerShell up and running, and I'm going to be using PowerShell to help to scaffold or spin up a project for me. Alright, so I'm going to start by just checking to ensure that I have Node.js installed, and for that I'm just going to check my versions. I'm going to say node-v, and I seem to have the latest version installed, so I am good to go in terms of that. Now I'm going to create my Vue application, which is basically creating a template or scaffolding a template, and then we can add to it. So I'm going to go ahead and say Vue create, and I'm going to call this Vue hyphen tutorial hyphen website. Right now, the Vue hyphen tutorial hyphen website here is basically creating a folder to store all our Vue files. So once I type that, I'm going to go ahead and hit the enter key on my keyboard. Now, definitely I am using well, I say definitely like it's the only, like it's the best option, but I'm using a Windows 11 computer here. But whether you're using Mac or Linux, the process will definitely be similar. All right. Now we have some options here in terms of, we can go with the default Vue 3, which will include Babel and ESLint, or Vue 2. But what I'll be doing, I'll be manually selecting the features that I want, right? Alright, so as I said, I'm going to go ahead and manually select the features. So I click the enter key for that. Now I am going to select what I want to include as part of my preset selection, or the features that I want. So I'm going to include Babel, which I like to include Babel because it's a JavaScript compiler that allows backwards compatibility. So if, let's say, we're working with Vue.js or some other framework or some other JavaScript library that has newer JavaScript code included, right? We want it to be compatible with websites or with browsers, I should say, that are not updated as yet or up to date to run newer JavaScript. Babel will create that sort of bridge and give it some backward compatibility or for some persons, I guess they'd say forward compatibility, right? So I'm keeping Babel. If you want to create your Vue application with TypeScript, you can just go ahead and select that. I like the idea of what a progressive web app is, so I'm going to definitely select progressive web app as one of the features. Now to select it, all I need to do is just press the space bar, and I'm going to be creating at least one additional router, or one additional route I should say. So I'm going to select the router option as well, and I'm going to unselect the linter. We won't be doing any unit testing or any end-to-end testing, so I'm going to leave these as my preferred feature. And once we're done, we can just press the enter key and proceed. All right, so here we are manually selecting the features, which we did. The features that I selected for my project is Bubble. I want to make it a PWA, or a progressive web app, which was a very popular thing at one point. You know, all the different companies ensure that they add a progressive web app version of their websites or their mobile applications, right? I remember their Twitter Lite app was created as a progressive web application. So I still like the idea of progressive web applications. So it's Babel, PWA, and the router. Moving on from that, we are asked to confirm the version that we are using. I'll be using version 3.x as stated here. Enter. Now I'm being asked if I want to use history mode for router. I'll just say no at this point. Alright, and it says, where do you prefer placing config for Babel, ESLint, and others? So we can use a dedicated config file, or we can just place everything in our package.json file, and I will work with that option where I place everything in the package.json file. So I just go to that option and press the enter key. And we're being asked if we want to save this as a preset for future projects. I might change my mind for future projects in terms of the features that I select. So I'm going to say no and proceed. So I press the enter key there, and our Vue project is currently being spun up. Alright, so we will let that do what it has to do, and then we can go about, you know, just exploring the Vue.js files, and also, you know, look at making some changes to the default template that is created for us. All right, so our project was successfully created. As stated here, successfully created project, Vue tutorial website. And it says get started with the following commands. So I'm going to cd into my project folder, and then I can do an npm run serve to see what the project looks like out of the box. Alright, so we're going to type cd Vue tutorial website. So I want to change directory into that particular folder. Alright, so we are now inside of our Vue tutorial website folder. Now the next thing that we can do is to do an npm run serve to see what the application looks like out of the box. But what I'll do is I'll open this folder in VS Code, which is the main IDE that I'm going to be using to develop our little application here. So I'm going to type code space dot, and then this should open our folder within VS Code. Alright, so I'll say yes, I trust the authors. Now these are the files and folders that were created for us. Alright, so already we have our sample project spun up, scaffolded, and ready to be viewed. So to basically see what this looks like out of the box, I'm going to open a terminal here in VS Code, and I'm going to type the command npm run serve. Right, and what you're seeing here in terms of the additional command, which is the hyphen space hyphen host, and then this IP address, this will allow us to view our application, let's say on our mobile device, right? So that is something that you can try in your own time. But for now, I'm just going to do npm run serve, press the enter key, and wait for the development server to start. Right, so I'm being told that the app is running on localhost, and it also gave me the network URL here if I want to view it on another device, for example my mobile phone or my tablet. Right, so let's just see what this looks like out of the box. And this is our out of the box Vue.js web application. It's a PWA, so I can install this on my device. All right, just a quick note in terms of PWAs. If I should right click and go to inspect, right, and then if I should go and select Lighthouse, which is a Lighthouse audit, I could audit my application for different things. I could audit it to see if it is optimized for searching, so if it has SEO, and also if it's a progressive web app. So when you get some time, again, you can try that out. If you're not familiar with what a progressive web app is, you can do some additional reading and see if that is a beneficial avenue for you when you're developing your web applications. Right, so I don't want to spend too much time on that, because the focus of this is just to look at basic Vue.js web development. Alright, so this is our application. We're going to be making some changes to this particular web app. It is basically a single page web application. There's a link here for the About Us, which takes you to the About route. Alright, and we can go back to home. Alright, so let's go inside of our folders that we have here, and then I'll just explain a few of the things to you and then make some changes to our web application, and hopefully all of this will give you an appreciation for Vue.js and also working with Vue.js if indeed it's something you want to do in the future. Okay, so just to give you a quick walkthrough of the project folders and files, at the top you'll be seeing your node modules. Right, now this contains the different dependencies that we would want to use. So all the external packages and modules that you'd want to use in your project, including, very importantly, the Vue module. So if I should expand this, these are all the dependencies and modules that you'd want to use, including the bubble and all of that. All right, now, importantly, if I can quickly find it, is the Vue module. All right, so here's the Vue module right here with all the different dependencies that we will need. All right. All right, next we will explore our public folder, which contains the static assets. For example, your HTML files, images, your favicons or fave icons. I call it favicon. Right? Your what's it called again? Right, your robots.txt file, which is used by web crawlers to know how they can basically interact with your website. Right? So this robots.txt file right here, whenever a web crawler come across your website, they'll say to themselves, all right, this robots.txt file gave us instructions in terms of how we can interact with the website. Web crawlers are used by search engine companies for boosting your website and also just grabbing certain information from your website for indexing purposes. That is how the search engine companies use them. Your Google, your Bing, and so forth. Right? All right, now moving on from that, we have our index.html file. Let me just close this right here. So we have our index.html file, pretty standard. You have your doc type HTML, which suggests that we are using HTML5, and your viewport is set, for some mobile responsiveness or just to make your website responsive. Now, importantly, right here, we have this ID equal app. So this div with the ID equal app, this is very important, right? That is what allows us to basically view the content of our website that are being shown here, right? And I'll talk some more about this in detail as we get further into this particular video walkthrough. Alright, so just bear this in mind because I'll be referring to it again. Now this image folder here, it contains the different images. So if you are viewing your application on an Android device or an Apple device, then these images are utilized. Right? Now we have right here our source folder, a very important folder. Now within the source folder, you have your assets folder. Right, now within the assets folder, you'll find your logo. This logo, which is being shown here, one of the first thing that we'll do is to change this logo. Right. We also have a components folder. Now the components folder, it has a hello world.vue file. Right. Now, if you should look at this file, this is some of the content that we are looking at when we go to our website here. So it says for a guide, right? And if you notice, it says the same thing here. So this this hello world dot view file is what is pushing some of the content to our website here, right? Install essential links, all of those are seen here. Install CLI essential links. So we'll be definitely working with this particular file. All right, next up we have our router folder, and this is where we can create additional routes. Now currently we have only two routes, one for home and one for about. Right, for the purpose of this demo, I'm going to be adding an additional route to our index.js file here, which is found in the router folder. Right, so it describes the home view, so it routes to the home view, and also routes to the about us view. Right, and if we should look inside our views folder, we will find the about view and the home view. So the about view, this is just saying this is an about page, and if we should go here, click about, this is an about page. If we should go to the home view, it gives us the logo. It says welcome to your Vue.js app, and it also imports content from the hello world view, which is the one that we looked at when we went inside components. So it gives us this content as well. All right, so this is our home view, and we also have a file here that is called app view. All right, so this app view, it has the navigation bar here, which is home and about. So the navigation bar, home and about, and it has some styling as well for your nav bars. And pretty much that is the major thing that we'd want to, or at least I'd want to walk you through. There's also a main.js that shows the different imports. So it has an import from Vue, which is the Vue module that we can find in our node modules folder. It has another import from the app.vue. It has another import as well from the register service worker. Now, when you're creating a progressive web application, you must create a service worker and you must register a service worker. Now, in this main.js file, importantly, you'll find this create app. You'll find this create app method here. All right, and if you notice, it says mount, and it is mounting this ID. For persons who are familiar with CSS or JavaScript, right, you know that when we create an ID, we use the number sign, or some persons call it the pound sign, or some persons call it the hashtag, right? So this is telling us that app right here is an ID. Now, if you can recall, right, we previously came across an ID called app being used in our application. Right, so if I go back to the public folder and I click on index.html, here you'll see an ID of app. Right, so This is basically mounting the content for us in our on our page, right? So that is most of the important files. And yes, your service worker file is here. Again, when you're working with progressive web applications, you'll definitely need to register a service worker. It allows you to view certain contents offline and so forth. So if we have no internet connection, then the service worker will determine what will happen, right? So that is that part of it. So again, remember the important parts that we looked at, or the important folders and files that we looked at. All right, so at this stage of our demo, I am going to go ahead and just change some of the content that we are given here. So I'm going to change some of this content and just customize it a little bit. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my source folder here, my SRC folder, and I'm going to go to views, and I'm going to make some changes to my home view. So right now it is saying welcome to your Vue.js app, which is this message right here. I'm going to change that message to something that I want to display. So I'm going to say, alright, so notice this message equal, right? So this message right here is a property. Okay. I'll highlight this some more in a few minutes, but this message right here is a property, and we're storing this value to the property. So I'm going to change that to technology solutions, right? And let's just go to the website, go to the browser, and see if that was changed. And yes, it was changed for us. Now the next thing I want to do is to change this logo. So I'm going to include my own logo. So I'm going to change this logo right here. Now remember that our logo can be found in our assets folder. So the logo can be found here, right? So the logo is right here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to replace this logo with my own logo. So currently this is the logo, and I'm just going to delete that and use my own logo there. Alright, so this is the folder where the logo is. I'm just going to delete that. Place my own logo here. Rename it to logo, and that is that, right? Let me just close this. So this is the new logo that we are working with, right? So let's see if that was reflected here, and it was. So that's our new logo. Alright, so next up, let's just make some additional changes in terms of getting rid of these content here, or this content here, right? Now remember, where we can find those is in this hello world dot view file. So I could just do away with this import, but my preference, because I might need to place things here, so I'm not going to just get rid of the file. I'm going to instead go to the file and move out the content from there. All right, so let's go to our components folder and our hello world.vue file. Now, notice that there's a template tag here, right? So in our template tag, that is where we will place all of our HTML. Now, notice this H1 right here that says MSG. If you can recall, it is right here. So it says hello world MSG equal technology solutions, and in the hello world it is saying that that must be an H1, or it must be within an H1 tag. All right, now the MSG here is a property, or you see it referred to as props. Right, now what I'm going to do is to get rid of the highlighted content here on the website. I am going to take this out. Alright, so just delete that, and you can place whatever content you want to place here. Alright, so once that is done, this is what it is looking like for us now. Alright, alright, so within our hello world.vue file, you will see the name of hello world here, and you'll see a props or a property created here, which is MSG, and it should be a string, and that is what is being used right here. Right, so I just wanted to point that out and make it as clear as possible where this thing is coming from. It's coming from our hello world.vue file, and these are just some stylings that were used, or some CSS that were used to style the content that was on this page right here. Now the next thing I want to look at is adding an additional route to our application. So what I'm going to do is, inside our views folder here, so let me just minimize this for now. My bad. So inside of our views folder here, I'm going to create an additional view. So I'm going to copy the about view and paste it back in our views folder. Alright, now I'm going to rename this to contact. So I'm going to call it, so this would be our contact view. Alright, and let's just say this is our contact page. And let me just give it a class of contact. If I should go here, right, we're not seeing that route, so it needs to be added. We're not seeing where we can click to go to that particular view, so we need to create that. So I'm going to go to my app.vue file, and here in the nav I'm going to create a link For our contact, so I'm going to call this contact, and this will be saying contact us. Let me just put a pipe right here. Alright, so let's go back now. In our nav section, we're now seeing the contact us. Now, the thing is, when we click on this, it now takes us to this blank contact page, right? So this contact page that we, or the contact view that we create, we need to go ahead and add to it. Now, if you notice as well, it did not say this is our contact page. It was just blank. So the route was created, it went somewhere, but it didn't go to the view that we wanted it to go to. And there's a reason for that, right? We need to point it to this particular view or this particular page. All right, so in the router folder, we're going to open our index.js file. And if you notice, there is a route here for the home view, and there's also a route here for the about view. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy the route for the about view, and we're going to turn this into the contact view. So it should take us to the contact page. The name of it is contact, and the view that it should bring up is the contact view. All right, so in the contact view, it has a class of contact. All right, so it has a class of contact. The path is contact as well, and this is the path here, which is contact. All right, so let's go back and check. Now, if you notice, it is now showing us this particular content. So we can go to the about, we can go home, we can go to contact. What I want to do though for the contact, I'm going to just place a form here, right? So let me close these. We don't need these right now. Well, I'm going to need my contact view because I'm going to be placing a form here. So let me just change this wording to say just change this to say contact us. All right, and then I'm going to place my form here. All right, so I have a simple form here that I'm working with. All right, so a simple form here that I'm working with. I haven't added the CSS for this as yet. And just to mention as well, if you don't want to write your own CSS, you can use a CSS framework like Bulma to style your form. Well, let's just see what our form looks like. So this is our form currently. All right, so that's what it looks like. So that's our form. So I'm just going to add a little style into this so it can look a little bit more attractive. It won't be perfect, but it will look a little bit more attractive. All right, so below my template tag, remember again, the template tag is where we will place our HTML. So our divs or h1 or form tags or elements, as some persons prefer to refer to them as. So we place our HTML elements within the template tag, and our CSS, we place that in our style tag. Right, so I added a little CSS here. Now our form is looking like this, right? So this is our basic little application that we would have gone ahead and created using Vue.js. So not to make the video any longer or make it too long, for persons who might not want to sit through a very long video, but this is it. You would have seen how to change content, add content, how to add different routes to your Vue application, and so forth. Right, so that is it basically. Hopefully this provided you with some additional assistance and guidance. So if you do find yourself with a need to build out the front end of an application, you might consider using Vue. Again, it's up to you if you want to use Vue or any other front end framework, but I just felt the need to share this with you. All right, so do enjoy the rest of your day and all the best moving forward in 2024 and beyond. All right, guys, take care, enjoy. And if there's anything I did not cover the way that you expected me to cover it, then you can always let me know in the comment. You can reach out to me, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. All right, enjoy the rest of your day and enjoy your development process.